Hey, what's up, my ninjas? Shinobi here with another Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls video for you today. A lot of people would ask me in the comments, talk about the Mystic, show us, Enchanting and Transmog and all that good stuff. And so that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to talk about some of my opinions about some problems that may be in the beta right now, some things I've been seeing that need to be fine-tuned and changed a little bit, maybe some, so tips for some Blizzard stuff right there so they can maybe fine-tune and change some stuff. Also give you a little bit of tips when you're going to the Mystic. So what is the Mystic and when do you get it and how do you unlock it and all that good stuff? Well, when you first zone into Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls, let's say you're level 60, it's the opening day for the expansion. Currently, the way that it is right now, what you would do is you would complete your first quest. You have to find the Mystic. Once you do, it doesn't take very long to get to the Mystic, and then you can start changing out stuff. Now, in the beginning, when you're using the Mystic, what's going to happen is that you're going to have, you're going to be level 60, and if you're changing out stats on level 60 gear, you're going to be using things like, demonic essences and, exquisite essences and stuff like that. So if you do have that stuff still, make sure you hold on to it, because you may need it right in the beginning of Reaper of Souls. It's going to help you. At the same time, though, you're going to accumulate gear pretty quickly as you're going through Reaper of Souls. It's not only going to take maybe a level or two or so, depending on your current gear, to start getting some new gear. And when you get some new gear, the cool thing about the Mystic is that you have a couple things you can do. You can enchant your item and you can transmogrify your item. Now, what transmogrify does, if you played World of Warcraft, or even if you haven't, it's kind of the same in World of Warcraft where you put an item in there. For instance, I'll show you my helmet. You can see what it currently looks like right now. If I throw my helmet in there, I can go through and go, okay, which one do I want to have instead? Should I get this one, or should I get this one, or this one? And you just kind of keep going through. I like this one personally, so I'm going to go with that one. And it just kind of looks pretty cool, and you can change it up. It's very low costing, so you're not really going to spend a lot of gold changing out those kinds of things, but that's all you pretty much have to do. So then the next thing you can do is you can enchant items too. So I have a couple items in here. I want to show you some demonstrations and some things that you can do. I don't know if I really have the materials to be switching out any of these stats right now. I'll have to check. So let's throw something in there. Yeah, I do have materials to be switching out some stuff. So I'll show you a demonstration. I'll waste a little bit of materials for you guys, because these items are just not good. So the first rule about enchanting things is that you're not going to take a garbage item and make it a godly item. It's just not going to happen. You can only switch out one stat, and you have to sacrifice a stat in order to do that. So, that's something people got to keep in mind. It's not like you get an additional stat. You have to remove a stat that you might not need for something that was going to benefit you a little bit more. So it's kind of balancing out your gear is pretty much all it's doing. It's not making you from a really crappy item to a really, really good item. It doesn't really happen that way. Now, granted, it can make your items better, but, it's not going to do that to you. So let's take a look at some of these items here. And people are asking me on the stream, like, when you look at items, when you go to pick up items off the ground, and when you're salvaging items, okay, no, not this one, no, not this one, no, not this one, salvage, salvage, salvage. People go, how do you do that so quickly? Don't you have to take into consideration what you can switch out in stats and what you can put back in stats? And the answer is, yeah, I do. I do take that in consideration. But this is the general rule when deciding if an item is good or not. If you get an item and you go, okay, that has potential, if you have to switch out 2 stats or more, it's not good. It's not worth it. If you can switch out 1 stat and make it into a stat that you could possibly need, then it will be worth it. Otherwise, just forget the item. Because, you kind of look at it and go, oh man, that's so good. I mean, it has crit chance on it, and it has strength on it, and it has all these things on it. I wish I could give you an example here. Let's see if I can give you an example. Okay, this is a perfect example right here. So you go, okay, Natalia's Bloody Footprints. I got the level 70 Natalia's boots. Awesome. You look at it, you go dexterity, okay. Resistance, okay. Armor, okay. Movement speed, okay. Now what's wrong with this picture? The movement speed's only 10%. It's not 12%. And you have no vitality. You have armor and resist, which is great. I mean, you can switch out the movement speed. You might be okay because you have double of those, mitigation stats there. But let's say you needed vitality. What if you have really low vitality in this situation? You have to get rid of either resist or armor. So I would get rid of the armor, get vitality, but you can only switch out one stat. So you can only do that over and over and over again. So you're not going to be able to switch out the armor for vitality, the movement speed for 12% movement speed. You can only do it to 1. So you got to keep that in mind, because when you're going through here and you see an item, you go, man, that item has so much potential. Like, if I just switch out this stat and then this stat, and like, you can't do that. So, you know, I can show you, for instance, I throw this in here. These are the materials that are going to be required. You're going to need Arcane Dust, Forgotten Soul, which is the equivalent new Brimstone. Then you also have Veiled Crystal. I was looking at this right here. When I throw this amulet into here, and I open it up right there, and you go and look and crit damage, it says, okay, this one can go up to 100%. So I could re-roll this to 100%, which is something that I may do in just a minute here. And then if I re-roll this to 100%, you know, that's a good increase there. I like that. Let's take a look at crit chance. Can I get higher on that? Yep, you can go up to 10% there, but some amulets only let you go up to a maximum of 50. So make sure you always check what your maximum amount is. It's not always 100% like it is in Diablo 3. If you get an amulet, it can always go to 100% if you get, you know, like for crit damage. So that's very important to keep that in mind too when you're looking through this. So I'm going to go ahead and switch out some stats here and see if I can get an increase. I'd like, let me see what stats I got right now. My crit damage, I don't need the crit chance quite as much. It won't do as much for me. I think the crit damage will do a little bit more for me. And it's only at 78%, 79%. So let's see if we can get an increase here. Let's go ahead and re-roll this. And that's what it looks like. So when you roll this, you're going to be able to keep the original one or pick one of these two. So reduce cooldown from all skills, not worth it for 79% crit damage. So we'll just pick that one again. And we go back in. Keep rolling. Now you get a socket, or you can get this. So it's kind of just playing that luck thing. Now what happens is this value will keep going up and up and up and up, and you will spend a lot. I have spent a lot of gold re-rolling stats many times because they're 1,000,000 gold each time you re-roll the stats. So be careful about your gold there too. Also, let me show you for instance here if I can. Okay, so let's just find a decent situation. Okay, here's a good situation. So, this is something that the Mystic needs to have, Blizzard, and something you haven't implemented yet. And that is 79% crit damage. If I change that to weapon damage, is that better? I don't know. You don't know until you actually try, and you could lose gold, and you could also make your gear worse, because you don't know without actually putting the numbers. It's not like we have a calculator that we can just type in and be like, oh yeah, that would be an upgrade. You have that for everything else, Blizzard. Why don't you have it for this? Give us the ability when you hover your mouse over top of it, it'll show you the damage upgrade, the toughness upgrade, just like you do with the items here, where it says 16% minus, 2% minus, 999% minus plus. Just like you have it right there, you should have it over here too. No doubt about it. Maybe you just haven't implemented that yet, but I've heard a lot of streamers complain about this too. Something I've been noticed since day one of being on here. You need to have that. So I'm pretty sure crit damage is better than this in this situation. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure. So we're going to stick with this and see if we can get higher crit damage. Just keep going. And the max amount of attack speed too that you can get on an amulet is 6% too. It's like, I'll show you. You hit this. 6%. That's a little. That's different, So they did nerf attack speed a little bit more. As you see, you keep going now. Oh, this could be a possibility too. So yeah, you guys get the idea though, and it gets more and more and more pricey as you go. You can see now we're up to 221,000 per time you do this, and it just keeps on accumulating. So, and also on legendaries as well, it gets really, really pricey on legendaries, and it requires you to use those materials like, as you saw in the boots, it requires brimstones, which, I mean, most legendaries you find are going to be ones you want to use and not to salvage. But you do find legendaries that you want to salvage. But, I mean, if you, let's say you get, let's say you were to re-roll these boots and say, okay, I really want to just shoot for that, vitality instead of the armor, or I really want to shoot for more movement speed on this item. It may take you 10, 15 tries before you get there, and it's going to be pretty pricey. So if you're in Diablo 3 right now and you're thinking, do I need gold in Reaper of Souls? Yes, you need gold in Reaper of Souls. I've been playing this game like crazy for the past week almost here, and I've actually lost 120 million gold from switching out stats a bunch of ways and doing a bunch of different things. You're gonna need gold, so make sure you sell a bunch of stuff. Now, one thing you can do, a little tip for you for selling stuff, let's say you have all classes level 60 and all of them are really geared. Pick one class that you want to play right away, for sure. One class that can farm for you, farm a bunch of items for you, and farm a bunch of gold and stuff like that for you. Use that class, sell the gear on all the rest of your characters. Get all the gold from that. When you transfer over to Reaper of Souls, you'll have that gold, and then you can start building up your characters here again. Because, it's going to take a little while to build up your main character to the part that you want it to be, and by then you should be kind of, stable enough that you can easily get gear. And plus, I mean, just from the blood shards right here, when you go to the person, which is like way up there, which we're not going to go to, but when you go way up there to the person that sells items you can literally gear your character out a fresh 70 with no gear whatsoever. You can give them halfway decent gear just by doing that. So you're not going to need the gear on those other classes. You can always just, use blood shards and farm those a whole bunch and get them some starter gear when they come into Reaper of Souls. So that's a tip for you if you want to sell some gold or make some gold before Reaper of Souls comes out, because you're going to need it. It's kind of pricey. I mean, they have nerfed some of the, stuff in here, but it's going to be quite pricey for you in the future here. And that's another thing too that's a problem with the Mystic, is that it is incredibly difficult to get arcane dust. You would think that it would be a lot harder to get. You would think that it would be a lot harder to get the veiled crystals. I mean, I've spent a lot of stuff, so this is not a good example, but you would think it. I mean, I used to have like 500-600 of these, and I had like 80 of these, because you don't find blues very often. And yeah, what people are doing right now is you can go to the vendors, and let's say if I go to a vendor right over here and go, okay, I'm just going to buy a blue item that's really cheap. Oh, here we go, 5,000 gold. I buy a bunch of these and then just go salvage them. Is that what you were going for, Blizzard? Is that how you wanted us to play the game? You want us to buy blue items from the vendor and then salvage them? It just seems like too much work. Arcane Dust doesn't need... Please don't make Arcane Dust as big of a factor as it is right now. It should not be near as big of a factor as things like when you disenchant, rare items, and you get, rare, the veiled crystal things, or whatever they're called. That shouldn't be, that shouldn't be the main. This should be the main one that you use, not this one. I go through Arcane Dust way more than I go through, the other one. I mean, when you see right here, like, yes, they're both 3. This should be 1, and this should be 3 in every situation. You can see, like, switching all these, they're all even. All of them. They're all even. Oh, this is the only situation where this requires 5 and this requires 2. Why is it not like that for the rest of the gear too? You go through way too much arcane dust, and it's very difficult to get arcane dust because mainly you find rares. Make it not as much needed. Please. Please, Blizzard. Please do that. Anyways, guys, just sending off some messages to Blizzard and, helping you guys out a little bit. Maybe this preview helped you out a little bit. If you have any more questions about the Mystic, just put them down below. I'll be happy to help you and answer your questions. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. I've been doing these every single day. My name is Shinobi, and until next time, thanks for watching.